Yeah.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, the best kept secret in all of college football. Today, bringing you our updated Pac-12 college football predictions. As you all know, we just finished our game-by-game predictions for every single Pac-12 program, but now we're going to share with you our updated records for each of those 12 teams. Of course, based on the new format that the Pac-12 implemented just a few weeks ago, which is now a 10-game conference-only schedule. So before we show you our updated records, which will only consist of those 10 conference games, let's take a look at this brand new Pac-12 schedule. When you take a look at this, guys, of course, one thing you should know is that the season for the Pac-12 will begin on September 26th alongside the SEC, both of those conferences deciding to start in later November, unlike the Big Ten or the ACC. And of course, one thing you should also know as well is that Week 12 has been designated as a bye week for every single school. That, of course, being a week for everybody to potentially have a postponed game, a makeup game, if a game earlier in the year has to be postponed or canceled due to a coronavirus outbreak. So those are two things to note there. Of course, the games highlighted in gray are home games. Games highlighted in white are road games. And let's take a look at this added games, guys. We know that the Pac-12, they always play 9 conference games anyways, but they've added a game to everybody's schedule to get to that 10-game mark. And when you look in the Pac-12 North, of course, we're only going to go through 6 teams because they all play each other. When you look in the Pac-12 North, the North teams, guys, 5 of the 6 members have to travel on the road. Oregon now has a game on the road at Utah, a rematch of last year's Pac-12 Championship game. California now heads to Arizona out in the desert. Washington gets to stay at home. They take on UCLA. Stanford, they travel to Arizona State. Oregon State will travel to Colorado. And Washington State will travel to USC. And so when you look at this, guys, when you look at the new updated schedule, compared to what some of the teams were already having to face, I think the Pac-12 did a fairly solid job of trying to even out this schedule to the best of their abilities. And do keep in mind that a couple of games, the locations had to be changed from what they were originally scheduled for this 2020 season. So they went through, made a handful of changes, but those are the 6 added games for these Pac-12 teams. And now we're going to go ahead and share with you our updated records for the Pac-12 college football season. So one thing to note here, guys, is that our predictions, despite the new format and despite the added games, really didn't change too much for us. You know, we went through and we gave you game-by-game predictions and deeper analysis on these conference games in our individual videos, and we won't do that so much here. But our minds really didn't change on some of those games. A handful maybe, but really all we had to do was go through and predict one extra game for all 12 teams. And that's exactly what we did. And we're going to break it down very briefly here. Of course, remember, if you want deeper analysis on these wins and losses, and we will tell you who we have them winning and losing to. If you want that deeper analysis, make sure to go watch our individual videos for each Pac-12 team. We will start over here in the North Division, where it really shouldn't come as a surprise that we have Oregon winning the North. We've got the Ducks coming in with a 9-1 record, guys. They won the Pac-12 last year. They are the heavy Pac-12 favorites yet again this year. The only loss we have for Oregon comes on the road at California, who we have as the second best team in the Pac-12 North. And I know that was a game that surprised a handful of people. But again, we cited last year's meeting as a good reason why we think the Golden Bears can pull off this upset. Last year in Eugene, with backup quarterback Devin Monster, California led Oregon until about 1:20 left in the third quarter. Late in the third quarter, California was beating Oregon on their home turf. They only lost by 10. So I think if they can do that with Devin Monster, I think California, that returns 18 starters and hopefully will have Chase Garbers healthy, could win this game, and I believe will win this game at home for Justin Wilcox and his squad. So we do have Oregon dropping a game here. I do not believe the Ducks go undefeated in Pac-12 play this season. I do believe they will slip up somewhere. We've got it coming to California. We've got the Golden Bears coming in at 6-4. Losses to Oregon State on the road, USC on the road, Arizona on the road, and Arizona State on the road as well. So, of course, I know it's a lot of road games, and we actually have a lot of these North teams falling on the road, as those road games are very difficult for these teams. But California, a team that should go bowling, regardless of what the requirements are for the postseason this year, if we even have a postseason. But we do know that Justin Wilcox is doing a phenomenal job. They were an 8-win team last year. I believe they had, if we played a full 12-game season, they would have been an 8 or 9-win team this year. 6-4 in conference play, though, guys. Fantastic year led by another strong defense, and hopefully Chase Garbers, who is 13-2 as a starter with California. Right below them, we have Washington coming in also at 6-4, but because we have California defeating the Huskies, Washington falls to third in the North and not second. 6-4, we have the Huskies losing at California, at Oregon, at Utah, and at USC. So all 4 road games for Washington there, all very difficult road games for Washington. Do keep in mind that they are dealing with a brand new head coach in Jimmy Lake, who was promoted from defensive coordinator to head coach after Chris Peterson stepped down at the end of the 2019 season. And while Washington's defense is going to be fantastic yet again, their whole season will ride on their offense. How well does Jimmy Lake build up that offense with a brand new quarterback in Jacob Sirmon, some questions at the wide receiver position, and then, of course, losing your star running back and Salvin Ahmed as well. So Washington will go through a few growing pains under Lake, but nothing too drastic. Still a bowl team in my eyes. Still a North contender in my eyes as well. They upset Oregon. All bets are off. So you kind of see a little bit of a break there. We know we have Oregon State here, and we know that when you look at the North and the South, that the North from top to bottom is way more competitive than the South. The South maybe is a little bit more competitive towards the top, fighting for that division crown, but the North from top to bottom, there's not as much separation compared to the South division. We've got Oregon State here coming in at 5-5, guys, so we believe they would have just enough to go bowling. And if you watched our game-by-game predictions for Oregon State, which of course did include the non-conference games, we had the Beavers going 6-6. Oregon State got lucky. They draw Colorado for their extra game. And even though that game is on the road, this Oregon State team should have enough to take them down. We have Oregon State losing to Utah on the road, Oregon at home, Washington at home, and then on the road at Stanford and Arizona State. But we know the Beavers are improving greatly under Jonathan Smith, Tristan Gebbia, Jamar Jefferson, Champ Flemings, all there on that offense here. Key is, of course, going to be Gebbia and how well he plays as the new starting quarterback. The defense is drastically improving, a very underrated secondary, maybe one of the top 5 in the Pac-12. So I do believe that Oregon State, had they played a full season, would have gone bowling. And then this year, despite not playing a full season, I think they get to 500 in Pac-12 play. They were very close to getting to the postseason last year. I do think they get there this year. And rounding out the North, you have Stanford and Washington State, 4-6 for the Cardinal, 3-7 for Washington State. And we'll break down the wins for Stanford and Washington State. The Cardinal, we have them defeating the Cougars at home, defeating Oregon State at home, Colorado at home, and Arizona at home as well. So the Cardinal winning all 4 games at home. They're coming off their first losing season since 2008. And originally, in our game-by-game predictions, if you included non-conference, we had Stanford making the postseason, getting back to 500, finishing 6-6. So, of course, this new format doesn't do the Cardinal any favors, as they have a lot of questions across the board. I love Davis Mills at quarterback, but they have questions up front on the offensive line. The running game is not quite what it used to be, and the defense still has to continue to take a step forward. And Stanford got unlucky by drawing Arizona State on the road in their extra game. So we have the Cardinal going 4-6, technically having their second straight losing season, if you want to call it that. I don't know how much thought you can put into that stuff considering the circumstances. And then Washington State, 3-7, first year for Nick Rolovich. We also had them going 6-6 had there been non-conference games. The wins for the Cougars coming at UCLA, Arizona State at home. Yes, we have them upsetting the Sun Devils, and on the road at Colorado. So 3 wins for the Cougars here, guys. The key for them is going to be quarterback play as well. How well does Jaden DeLora play in this new run-and-shoot offense that Rolovich is going to implement in Pullman? So there's your North Division, guys. No surprise, we've got Oregon winning that. Over here in the South, it may come as a surprise that we have USC winning that division. We have them finishing 9-1, the only loss at Oregon, at Autzen Stadium. Now, of course, in our game-by-game predictions, we only had USC losing twice. Once to Oregon, that hasn't changed. The other was to Alabama. That game will not be played. So 9-1 for the Trojans here, guys. I'm buying into their hype. I'm buying into Graham Harrell's offense. Keaton Slovis, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Tyler Vaughn's the 6th-ranked passing offense in the country coming back this year. Todd Orlando in as defensive coordinator with 10 returning starters on that side of the ball. USC is overhyped every year, and we said it before, we'll say it again. I don't think they're overhyped this year. I think they are legit, and they are certainly Pac-12 title contenders, and getting to that point might be enough to save Clay Helton's job out in Los Angeles. So USC winning the South. Arizona State right behind them, though, at 7-3. So you can see 2 games separate the top dog from the second-place team. 3 games separate Oregon and California. So like we said, a little bit more competitive towards the top over here in the South. Arizona State finishing 7-3. We have the Sun Devils losing at Oregon, at Washington State, and at USC. So 3 road games here, guys. Remember, Arizona State draws Stanford as their extra game, and we do have the Sun Devils winning that. We've said it before, we've said it again, over and over and over again. We love Herm Edwards at Arizona State. I loved that hire as soon as it happened, and I still love it to this day because he continues to do a great job with the Sun Devils out in the desert. Jaden Daniels, one of the best young quarterbacks in the country, one of the best quarterbacks within the Pac-12 this season. And the Sun Devils, man, I'm telling you, if they go on the road to the Coliseum and beat USC, they will win the Pac-12 South. I can put my money on that. I know the Washington State loss is a stretch for some, but that game at the Coliseum will probably decide who wins this South Division. Nonetheless, 70% winning percentage in 2020. Not too bad for Herm Edwards. Right below them, we have Utah, a team who was 1 win away from making the college football playoff last year, got annihilated by Oregon in last year's Pac-12 championship game. We have the Utes going 6-4, losses at Arizona State, at California, and then home games to USC and Oregon. Of course, guys, if you want deeper analysis on these wins and losses, go over to our individual videos because those conference games are still there. But the Utes going 6-4, we know they're going to take a step back. We know they lose so much from one of the best defenses in the country last year. Only 2 returning starters on that side of the ball. And another key for Utah, kind of like we said with Oregon State, Washington, is how well does Jake Bentley, who we do believe will win the starting job in Salt Lake City, how well does Jake Bentley play at quarterback? Of course, we do know him coming over from South Carolina. So that's the key for Utah here, though, guys. They're still Pac-12 South title contenders, but they're going to take a step back from that 11-win season that they had in 2019. Right after Utah, there's a significant drop. 3-game difference between the 3rd-place team and the 4th-place team. There's a 1-game difference over here in the North. UCLA, 3-7 under Chip Kelly, guys. And, of course, if you factor in non-conference, we had them going 5-7. So these records look worse than they are. You just got to think about the non-conference a little bit. Had we had those games, what could have been for some of these teams. But 3-7 for the Bruins, guys. Wins against Stanford, who they defeated last year. A road game at Colorado and a win over Arizona as well. So 3 wins for Chip Kelly and the Bruins, who are still struggling mightily. Keep in mind, he's 7-17 in 2 years at UCLA. This is not going to get his name off the hot seat anytime soon. The key for UCLA is their defense. Can they take a step forward after being one of the worst in the country last year? And then right behind UCLA, you have the cellar dwellers, not just in the South, but maybe in the entire Pac-12, Arizona and Kevin Sumlin going 2-8. Their wins coming against Colorado and California. 2-8 for Arizona. Might be the last year for Kevin Sumlin out in Tucson, guys. He's got a good quarterback in Grant Gunnell, solid wide receiver core, but like UCLA, one of the worst defenses in the country, maybe, or as well in the Pac-12. So that's got to be the strength area for Paul Rhodes. He's got to find a way to improve this Arizona defense. I don't think it's anywhere near enough to handle such a difficult schedule for the Wildcats. Same can be said for Colorado here, guys. Yeah, we've got the Buffaloes going 0-10. 0-10 for the Buffaloes out in Boulder. Once again, they were dealt a horrible, horrible hand. They got Mel Tucker, thought he was the coach of the future. Michigan State takes him away. They hire Carl Durrell in February. Coronavirus hits. They've had no time to learn with their new team, no time to implement new schemes, no time to build chemistry, and now they're facing an all-conference slate, so there's no opportunity to face a cupcake team to kind of ease into their schedule. Of course, we know their non-conference games were not necessarily cupcake teams, but they're certainly better than starting off against a team like Oregon. So we do believe Colorado starts 0-10. A year for Carl Durrell to get his feet wet, to see what the talent's like in Boulder, and then try to hit the ground running in 2021. So those are your updated records, guys. Only 10 conference games here in the Pac-12, which means we have the Pac-12 Championship being USC at Oregon. Keep in mind, the Pac-12 did say that the Pac-12 Championship game will not be played at a neutral site. It will be an on-site game, an on-campus game for the team that has the highest winning percentage, the best record. Since Oregon and USC tie, we give the tiebreaker to Oregon, since the Ducks did defeat USC, or at least we have them defeating USC in the regular season. So the Trojans, once again, would have to travel to Autzen Stadium, a difficult place to play regardless of if there are fans there or not, and more than likely there will not be. And in a rematch between these two, we have the Ducks winning their second straight Pac-12 championship game, guys. It's one of the best offenses in the Pac-12 and in the country, going up against the best defense in the Pac-12 and one of the best defenses in the country. And to me, the defense will own that edge every single time. I think Oregon makes just enough plays. This late in the season, Oregon's offense continues to get better and is at full strength under new offensive coordinator Joe Moorhead. And with that, Oregon would finish 10-1 with a Pac-12 title to their name and would certainly be college football playoff contenders going into late December. So guys, there you have it. We know there's speculation about whether there will even be a season or not, whether we will even get to see Pac-12 football since they are not scheduled to begin until September 26th. But regardless, these predictions are essential. These predictions are important. We went through every game-by-game prediction for every single Power 5 team, and we will come out with updated records for all of those teams as we get more details on their new league formats. The Pac-12 is the first of this series, so there you have it. Oregon winning the Pac-12 for the second year in a row. Updated predictions coming your way in the next few days. So guys, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, and share these videos. And also make sure to check out everything down in the description below, where you can follow us on our social media pages over on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And also check out our new website, thegridironexpert.com, to sign up for our newsletter and our expert picks. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.